Hello there. Hi. Welcome to Monday Mornings with Mike. I'm Mike Baker, and I'm going to play you a little bit of piano music for the next hour. We're going to chat a little bit. That's about it. We're all about getting our week off to a musical start. And nice to have you along. It's been a while, hasn't it? But we're back in the saddle here at Monday Mornings with Mike. I've been missing you, and I hope the feeling is reciprocated. If you're out there, it would be nice to know. You can jump into the comments section wherever you're watching this. We've got YouTube viewers along this morning too. We're hoping that's all going to work out. That's a bit of an experiment for us. But hopefully we can get to the point too where we can even share all of the comments between the two different platforms. If it goes that way, if it works out to be popular, nothing ventured and nothing gained. So what have I got for you this morning, folks? I've got for you just a mixed bag, a selection, a mixed assortment for a Monday morning. The accent here is on melody. We're not trying to do anything hugely virtuosic. We're just trying to get comfortable, some relaxing stuff, some nice melodies, nothing too rugged, nothing too full on. I guess the term is laid back, isn't it? Hello out there to the folks that like to tune in on a Monday, especially the folks that have maybe not got the mobility that they used to have. And hopefully if you've got yourself a nice comfy spot, a cup with a beverage in it of some sort, like I have here. This coffee's going to be cold before too long. I've got myself a coffee to get us started with. Hope you have too. All right. I think we might get started today with a little bit of 3/4 waltz time. Sort of a country-ish waltz, this one. And you'll know it. I don't really need to introduce this one up front, I think. Let it be a pleasant surprise, hopefully a pleasant surprise for you. Bit of waltz time. Maybe you can be waltzing around the kitchen or something like that if you're tuned in and you're doing a few chores. Bit of the old 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, bit of waltz time. Always a nice way to get the wheels oiled, I find, a little bit of waltz time. All right, let's just give the throat a little bit of lubrication and we will get into the first song or the first tune of the day. The tune was Mr. Bojangles. But you knew that, didn't you? And certainly if you didn't know the title, you probably knew the tune. It's a song with a lovely lyric. Of course, we didn't hear that lyric this morning and played that instrumentally for you. It was written and a hit for a fellow called Jerry Jeff Walker back in the, I'm going to say, late 1960s. Big hit, and still a popular song with a lot of folks these days. A song, too, that has been covered. There's a lot of different cover versions of Mr. Bojangles. I think the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band had a hit with their version of it. And folks that don't normally do covers. I'm thinking of Mr. Bobby Zimmerman, Bob Dylan here. Bob Dylan did a version or a tribute, if you like, to that song. He obviously saw the attributes, the lovely attributes of that song, especially lyrically. Not bad coming from a man, I guess, who's a recipient of a Nobel Prize for Literature. Is that what Bob was awarded a few years back? I think the Nobel Prize for Literature. I don't think it was the Peace Prize. I'm pretty sure it was the Nobel Prize for Literature. I'm going to go out on a limb here. There's a lot of naysayers saying, well, is he really, he's a songwriter. Well, I have here on my bookshelf 2 copies of his recollections. We'll call it a book of recollections called Chronicles. And my heavens, that fellow can write. He's a very good, excellent prose writer. Why have I got 2 copies? I found a copy of it one time and I thought, I'll pick that up cheaply. It was second hand. And if I'm ever selling the praises of it to anyone who's around for dinner or something like that, I can say, take it home and read it. Don't listen to me. That's my advice I would give to anyone out there who's a bit of a Bob Dylan naysayer. That man is wonderful with words. And his book Chronicles is about his the very start of his career in his early days in Greenwich Village, and the folks that he was meeting, and the floors that he was crashing on, the open mic nights he was going to, and the reputation he was building, of course. What a reputation. That's Chronicles, Bob Dylan Chronicles. I believe there may be a Chronicles 2 come out. The man's getting on in years, but do you know he's still touring? Now, I'm going to say he was 84 this year, but he's on what he calls the never-ending tour. And the never-ending tour, he's sort of dedicated to his maker. He said to his maker at one time, he said, if you're with me, I'm there for the duration. So he's keeping up his part of the contract. He's just going to keep going till he drops, I believe. Yeah. That's Mr. Dylan. Okie doke. Let's go somewhere else now. We'll go to a minor key, I think. Let's go to a minor key now. And this is a beautiful melody from about the same period in time as Mr. Bojangles. Once again, I won't announce this one up front. I'm pretty sure you're going to know the melody. It was a hit for a fellow called Paul Moriarty. Paul Moriarty and his orchestra. Actually, it was an instrumental hit. Sounds like a theme for something. It may well have been the theme, but I'm not aware of whether they used it for a movie or something. But it's a familiar kind of a melody, isn't it? It moves in and out of the major and the minor, the root minor, as we call that, not the relative minor. There you go. You're getting a little bit of free technical stuff this morning. No charge at all. Yeah. A lovely little minor key thing with a little bit of major key light coming through there in the bridge section. Yeah. Okie doke. Well, I am a little dry this morning, so I'm not going to let the coffee go cold under my gaze. Have you got something there? Please jump in and let me know if you're out there this morning. Love to say hello. Let's see if we can bring Lorraine out from under the covers this morning. Here's some Hoagie Carmichael. Beautiful melody of his called Georgia on My Mind. Georgia on My Mind, coming to you this morning on Monday Mornings with Mike. Ogie Carmichael's gorgeous. Georgia on my mind. Much speculation through the years about the Georgia he was referring to. Georgia the state? Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Or the girl who's Georgia on his mind? Isn't it nice that we can interpret that whichever way we like? Yes. Not exactly double entendre. I suppose it is double entendre, really, isn't it? Yeah. A very innocent double entendre, that one. The place or the girl. And Hoagie Carmichael, responsible for a lot of beautiful melodies, isn't he? The Nearness of You, I think of. No, it's not the title. The title is The Nearness of You. Up a Lazy River. I must do a Hoagie Carmichael sort of themed presentation one week. I think I'll put that on the to-do list. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's get a little bit, bring the tempo up a little bit. Got to get the blood flowing, don't we? Remember, if you are a little bit mobile, you can be up and down the hallway or, doing some workout stuff. You might be down on the yoga mat or practicing your Pilates or whatever we do for our stretching. Just plain stretching is what I favour, actually. And I usually can tell the bits that need a bit of a stretch. So I don't need anyone telling me what bits need to be stretched and which bits need a little bit of movement. So you don't need to be signed up for a course or gym fees or anything like that. Actually, when I had a bit of a medical incident, I don't mind talking about it, probably better part of 10 years ago now. I had a collapsed lung and spent 2 weeks in hospital and came out of hospital and they said, look, you've actually got more lung capacity than you had, but still not back to 100%. And they encouraged me to do all these sorts of exercises. Well, I was out at a concert one time and I was watching the band and there was a baritone saxophone player. I've been playing saxophone for quite a few years before that, and I thought, there you go, baritone saxophone. Maybe I'll instead of spending the money on gym fees, I might invest in a baritone saxophone, which I did, and that was I've been playing the baritone saxophone now for about 8 years, I'd say. In fact, I'm off tomorrow night to concert band rehearsal here at the Hume Conservatorium in Goulburn. I'm not working there anymore, but I still go along for a bit of a honk, a bit of a tootle on the baritone sax with the concert band. Probably doesn't hurt if I do a little bit of shameless promotion here, does it? Anyone who plays an instrument, you're looking for a nice opportunity to get the instrument out, and in my case to keep exercise the lungs. Not that you need to be playing a wind instrument. Concert bands tend to a concert band tends to be different to a big band. When we talk about a big band, I'm right off track here, but I am going to do a very clever segue into this next piece I'm going to play. The big bands. They were generally trumpets, trombones, saxophones, doubling clarinet, and a rhythm section. Guitar, perhaps, or banjo, piano, bass, drums. Whereas a concert band tends to be sort of a cross between an orchestra and a big band. So there's parts there for saxophones and trumpets and trombones, but also there's horns from baritone horns and basically I'm saying that, and tends to rely a fair bit too on clarinets and flutes. No strings, and a rhythm section. Hopefully you've got a rhythm section. I'm waffling here, but the reason I was talking about big bands is my excuse to segue into this next piece. It's a tune written by, I think if I've got my memory right here, one of Count Basie's orchestrators, arrangers, Cy Oliver. Very simple tune, but swings like anything. I like playing it. It's called Opus Number 1. Hi, Marilyn. Nice to have you along. Yeah, the hips are doing okay this morning, not too creaky. I got a bit of the WD-40 out and I gave them a squirt before I came online today. I hope you're well. Hope you're well. Hope you've got some sun where you are. Our sun was out here when I started about half an hour ago, but it's proved to be a little bit reluctant. Yeah, I imagine you might be in a sunnier part of the world than us at the moment. But I keep getting the impression, though, that we're over the hump. I'm usually premature with my predictions here, but I like to think that we're over the hump of the colder weather. Certainly, we haven't had anything. Oh, gee, about 6 weeks ago, we had a shocker. We had a -10 here in Goulburn, where I come to you from. And woe betide, look, all of my succulents died. You know, out there in the garden, the the jelly bean plants and all those ones that have just started flowering too, believe it or not. And because I'm saying this is probably the freezing temperatures, because they're mostly all water, aren't they? Succulents, so they froze over and that was the end of them. I don't hold much hope for them resurrecting, but anyway. That was Opus number 1. And I hope you had the moves on too, Marilyn. Hope you had the moves on too. All right. Where was I going before I rudely interrupted myself there? Weather not good in Sydney? Yeah, off and on rain. I think that's where we're headed to, Marilyn. Yeah, it's not cold though. Fairly mild, but just no sun. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a little bit of Van Morrison, shall we? A little bit of Van Morrison. Whoa. Van Morrison's Moondance, or variations on a theme of Van Morrison's Moondance, classic old song. The album that he had that on was full of great little nuggets. The album was called Moondance. Maybe you had it. Maybe you still have it tucked away somewhere. At one time, what do I have? I've got a copy of Astral Weeks, which was his sort of breakout solo album. Hugely successful and sold heaps over the years. He was originally in an Irish band called Them. They had songs called like Gloria and Here Comes the Night. They were very successful, and then of course he went out on his own and became the huge megastar with, he had a few songs that I guess you would say were a little bit on the schmaltzy side, Have I Told You Lately That I Loved You, but beautiful songs just the same. But he always kept coming back to his R&B roots. What the other? Oh, The Dark End of the Street. That's one of his songs too that was very popular. That's Van Morrison. Alrighty. Okay, we'll keep plugging on this morning. I don't want to do too much yakking. Just enjoying being here and getting myself off to a musical start too. Good to have an excuse to get the fingers busy. I find not a lot of gigs around these days. The times are not good for musicians. I've never actually called myself a professional musician. I guess I've always thought myself a sort of semi-professional or an enthusiast. It's always been my hobby, but many times my hobby has turned into, well, when I first started teaching, this was back in, well, I won't say when, a long time ago, I was sort of, just your sort of piano playing plodder. And first school I went into, they said, oh, good, we need someone who can accompany the choir. And then I found myself, actually this was up in the Hills District, Maryland, you would probably know that district. I started my teaching career in Borkham Hills. And Castle Hill up that way, Kellyville. And I used to travel around to all the schools up there accompanying their choirs. And then folks would say, all my friends were then at the age, this was back when people used to get married, so I'd end up playing for them in the church and what have you, and then restaurant work and a fair bit of band work. Yeah, so it kind of had a life of its own, really, my musical career. I never really had to push it. My dad would say rightly, and I'm glad he did, Mike, you're never going to be able to make a career out of music, because he knew that there are a lot of good musicians walking the streets. Ain't that true? Ain't that so true? And I had a little family that, of course, were very hungry, 4 boys, and so it was a good second job. I did a mountain of restaurant work. I remember back in the days when restaurants used to have a piano in the corner. Those were the days, really, weren't they? Look, I could just reminisce about that and waffle on. This was back in the days when people would come in and they'd have their meal and they'd sit and they'd have a port and sometimes a cigar after the meal. And if you were playing the right kind of tunes, they would stay and maybe have a second port. Yep. Manly Pacific Hotel on the north side, eh? That's very good, very wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, my time in Sydney, I guess you'd say I was around the inner west. We used to do gigs out Parramatta way too. Remember going on a Manly ferry one time, Maryland? Boy, was that a rough ride. We were playing for a birthday, it might have been a 21st birthday, something like that, on a Manly ferry. And it was a pretty wild night. We spent half the night trying to retrieve things as they... I think that was like probably more entertaining than the music, actually, for the people watching us scramble to keep things intact and upright. Anyway, we don't mind a little bit of reminiscing here, and I'm happy to engage with folks if they want to talk with me through the comments section. So the brief is a little bit of music to get you underway, but a little bit of chat too. Folks like to hear a bit of chat, and if they don't, they go and do something else. Yeah. You're right though, Maryland, times sure have changed. I think Bob had something about that, something to say about that, didn't he? The times they are changing. Righto. Here's another oldie. Excuse me. A little bit of a tickle happening here. Rightio. Hello, that would be a career change, wouldn't it? Nice of you to say, Maryland. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, get a job on a cruise line. Starting to sound like, Thank you. Nice of you to say. Yeah, I do like playing solo piano. Band work is great, but gee, there's some overhead involved in playing in bands. You've got to be making good money to keep a band together. Problem is, most musicians, from my experience, if a better paying job comes up, they'll go there. So you need to be making pretty good money to keep a band together, unless everyone is in it for the love. And as with a lot of things, the love goes so far. Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting thought. I'll stew on that one. Alrighty. Let's have... How are we going here? I'll do one or two more for you today. I'm thinking out loud here. Do I want to play that one? Do I want to play this one? I don't want to play that one today, or that one for that matter. Yeah, and that one I did play. Okay. I can't get started. I can't get started. An old Vernon Duke tune that's quite a lovely melody, and this is one of the tunes that I would pull out when the port and cigars would come out in the restaurant. Something like this goes over rather nicely. Vernon Duke's I Can't Get Started. Got time for one more, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a recommendation, if I can remember it. Friend and I were talking about movies, and I was talking about a movie that had Rashida Jones and Bill Murray starring in it, and it's called On the Rocks. I think from about 2020. Very, very good, very funny, very sort of heartwarming movie. Rashida Jones, who is Quincy Jones's daughter, and here's an interesting bit of trivia for you. Quincy Jones was married to Peggy Lipton. So who's Peggy Lipton? Do you remember the Mod Squad? I'm just going to think that maybe, no, all right. I've got folks out there who would be old enough like me to remember the Mod Squad. And the female lead in that, the blonde-headed woman, was Peggy Lipton. And she ended up with Quincy Jones, and she's the mother of Rashida Jones. Anyway, Rashida Jones and Bill Murray in a movie. It's got some great music in it too, called On the Rocks. And if you're thinking, is it about a relationship that's on the rocks? Well, in a way, yes. But that doesn't detract from the feel-good feature the feel-good qualities of the movie. There you go. So there's something you don't always get at Monday Morning Melodies, a recommendation for a movie. 2020, On the Rocks, Rashida Jones and Bill Murray. Bill Murray plays a very, very great... He plays her father. Let's just leave it at that. If you get a chance, see if you can track that one down. It gets the Mike Baker Monday Morning Melodies seal of approval. Okay. I'm going to end with a Beatles song today. I've enjoyed your company, folks. And I'm going to be here next week, like it or not. I'm sorry. Like it or lump it, I'm going to be here next week because, well, what have I got to do? Unless I'm off on a cruise. Stranger things have happened. All right. Going to end with a Beatles tune for you. Not a John song, not a Paul song. This is a George song. Something in the way she moves attracts me like no other lover. George Harrison's big, big hit, wasn't it? What was it on the flip side of? It was one of the other. There was a B side because the Beatles used to, do those double A side singles. Something, was it something else off Abbey Road? I'll do some homework on that one. Folks, we're at the end of the Monday morning happy hour. Or, no, what am I going on about? I've got my live streams confused. Monday mornings with Mike. I'd like to think I might see you Friday, 5 o'clock. We do a happy hour here. And happy hour, we do a little sort of a back and forth quiz. Tends to be a little bit popular. just kind of identifying tunes and talking with folks on the other side of the camera there, the other side of the microphone, what they know and what they can contribute to the discussion. It's very laid back, it's very casual. It's what happy hour on a Friday should be, right? Nothing too full on, nothing too heavy. It's a bit of a chance to put your feet up and have a bit of a snack. That's Fridays at 5 o'clock. Here, wherever you're watching this now, come back on Friday and I think you'll find us here. So, folks, that will do me for today. I wish you well for the rest of the week. Thank you for your company this morning, and I'd like to think that we'll see you here again sometime soon. Okay, bye for now.